you say? Webby, GA, and Matt are here today. Welcome to the Speedway Tavern. Come and have your say.
Good evening, and welcome to Speedway Tavern. So, Chris Harris has opened up in the Speedway Star about what he thinks is wrong with British Speedway and how it could be fixed. It makes several interesting points, it's interesting reading, and we shall certainly be talking about them in tonight's show. However, I don't really see how any of his points are pertinent to finding a way out of Speedway's current drival predicament. I've written a word that I can't understand. The fact that tracks are closing down, the fact that the audience is dwindling, the fact that the rulebook needs a degree in doublethink to understand. His points are totally rider-based views and, of course, totally valid. I was just hoping for something more because hope is what we need. Only in Speedway. Thoughts, gentlemen? And hello.
Good evening.
Hello and good evening.
I'm still trying to work out dire predicament.
Yeah.
What my word that was that I couldn't read in my own writing. That's terrible. So thoughts about
Well, I've got to say, I only obviously I don't read the Speedway Star as much as I used to, so I'd only just seen that through you curling up a really good bedtime story. So what it felt like. As you say, I think Bomber makes a lot of interesting suggestions in there, but you can't help feeling that a lot of them are sort of more rider centric rather than, you know, the obvious one is how do we get more people coming through the door? Mm-hmm. How do we stop tracks closing at a rate of knots? How do we? There's a lot of things that Speedway is really facing at the moment in terms of clubs, and including my own club, of course, obviously facing a very uncertain future as things stand. I just felt really. I mean, Chris had obviously made the comments a few weeks ago that he was going to sit down at some point and put something together. Mm-hmm. It just felt really like a lot of it was just getting things off his chest, wasn't mm-hmm. it? He's had a lot of kicks in the teeth really, and shamefully he's had a lot of stick off social media from people. When he's had bad nights, particularly when he's raced for his country, which has been totally out of order. Certainly can't.
But that happens in any sport. That
happens in any sport, but certainly not when it.
Not saying it's right.
Not when it's personal. And it's put on your Twitter account, of
mm-hmm.
course, or X or whatever it's called now these days.
X, isn't it? Yeah.
So something obviously the decision that obviously made by Leicester to replace him, which in fairness to Leicester looks like it's backfiring on them because I don't think they're going to make the top four now.
It's looking unlikely, isn't it?
They've got a tough run in fixtures and they haven't been in great form.
They got beaten by who was it again?
Yes, they did. They got beaten by us,
mm-hmm.
which is against a Wolves team that was gating all night, which was a minor miracle, really. I just think obviously that's maybe sort of one thing that's pushed him over the edge, and he's just felt right. Sod it.
Don't get me wrong. I think he's got some very valid points in there, and I can understand. And some of them, perhaps we'll discuss them all during the show. I'm sure some of them perhaps not quite so valid, but I've got no argument really with his right to make those points, and there are some good suggestions. Unfortunately, nothing there is going to pull Speedway by its bootstraps, which is what it needs at the moment.
When he talks about obviously seeing more British riders come through and the Rising Star scheme. I think the big problem with that has been that it's not been embraced by both the full-time leagues. Mm-hmm. You've always felt really with the Premiership, Championship, and the National League that the National League has always been treated as a bit of an afterthought. We'll just deal with that later. But they even have their own AGM, don't they? When everything else is sorted.
Yeah, but when a lot of stuff's been sorted out for them as well.
So that's disappointing. I think the Championship and in its previous guise of the the Premier League, I always felt that they didn't do enough to support British rides. When we had the fast track scheme in 2014, they didn't want to know. That was more done by. That was only really shown. That was really only done by the top clubs to bring riders back through. We've got some good young riders coming through. Everybody knows that. We'd like to see more of them. I think certainly the performance in the World Cup when we came so close to ending that long wait for a gold medal on Polish soil as well should have given everybody a real lift as to say this is something that can be done. But I suppose at the end of the day, from the promoter side of it, and this sort of goes back to a comment that was made in the late great Simon Wigg's autobiography. This was written about 2-3 years before he died. I mean, he died 2000. Obviously, he didn't. Most of it is his book. Most of it is his own words, but obviously, of course, his illness overtook him before he was able to complete it. So a lot of it has been sort of added on by other people as well. But I think the comment was somewhere along the lines of if British speeder promoters were making millions of pounds every year, then people would listen to them. But they're not. They're battling to survive, and then they're turning around telling everybody else how to run their business. I find that laughable. I mean, that comment was made over 20 years ago. It's probably more pertinent now than it was even back then.
The thing that always annoys me, and you hear it all the time from speedway promoters and from some fans, that there's nothing wrong with the product. If there was nothing wrong with the product, people would be watching it.
Very true.
And there are many things wrong with the product, many things that we have are highlighted on this show, both by us and from people listening. Talking of which, would you like to say some hellos?
Okay, so we got on the line this evening so far. We got Jeff Daniels, Rich Thomas, Susan Jordan, Andrew Garner, Jeff Lamb, Dave Twine, Mark Anderson, who's got a comment there.
We'll go back
Jeff
to that.
Lamb, and there's quite a few, but I've missed them all, obviously. There we go.
Okay, so Mark Anderson says, hi, can you mention Blast from the Past proper vintage bikes will be at Ipswich this Thursday and Oxford on the 5th of September. We will have a one-off race jacket for someone to win, and all money raised will go to the Ben Fund. There you go.
Well done.
Speaking of Ben, we'll have Ben Clifton on around about 8:30ish.
Yep, to talk about his money raising. It's a bike ride, I believe. Yeah, I might have got that right. Yep.
Is
Okay.
it? Yep. Okay.
Okay.
I thought it was a walker.
Maybe he's walking on the bike.
We know nothing here.
Yeah. No. So, let's have a talk about our own teams, and please put something up if you want to mention anything about your own team. We have another comment that I have to go through first there. Craig Smith says, oh gosh, I told you I didn't put those new teeth in, did I? The money that Sky Sports were pumping into Speedway in the 90s with TV revenue should have been invested back into the sport, with clubs looking to own their own stadiums or purchasing land that they can use for Speedway. I know that's easier said than done, but where did all that money go? A lot of it went into riders' pockets, of course.
It did. I know that for a fact. When there was a lot of money that was pumped in by Sky when the deal started back in '99, and that money pretty much got swallowed up by a lot of the top riders who came over here who suddenly decided to come back over to Britain to race because they knew there was big money. And then, unfortunately, once that started to dry up, they drifted away. You can't blame the riders, because at the end of the day, if people were, paid these ridiculous fees to riders, you can't really blame the riders for accepting it at the end of the day. But it was it all just felt very, very short term. We'll deal with the future later on. There should have been some sort of kitty put together, a pot put together for them to, for a rainy day money, if you like. It's quite good.
Well, they all run their own business, so they should all have got. They should have all have been going. We can make ourselves secure here.
Yeah.
They didn't do that, did they?
I did read somewhere that at one stage Speedway on Sky was the second biggest.
It was.
It was, yeah.
And I often wondered whether Speedway ever went to any of its sponsors and with ratings figures for their TV. Could we say this many people are watching our meetings on a Monday night? You've got an opportunity for your sponsors for your company to be sort of to be put out to this many people. But I don't know whether that actually happened. I just felt it always just felt like it was just take the money and just keep going. And unfortunately, when that started to dry, they've ended up running into problems.
Okay, a couple of comments. One from Reginald Barker. Until the BSPA realise the product needs remoulding and be more commercially aware, Speedway will continue to die. I think we're even past that now. I think they need a plan to survive. Will Birmingham get a new number one, or will we finish the season with guests? My understanding is that we will finish the season with guests. That's what my understanding.
For the second season in a row.
For the second season in a row, yeah. Simon Corbett, cracker at Peterborough, but we have to point out through no fault of the Birmingham promotion.
No.
And we've obviously had that ruling on Nick Morris come through, which I'm sure we'll also talk about tonight. Talking about the sort of commercial aspect of it, we're hoping next week that we will be having the commercial director from Birmingham Speedway to come and talk about that side of it. So get your questions home
that'd be interesting.
for that. Yeah.
Interesting.
He's had a few issues with Tuesday nights, but hopefully we've got them sorted out for next week. Cracker at Peterborough last night. Promoters must be looking at a few of their riders for next season. Well, Ellis last the season woeful last night.
That was a real coupon buster, wasn't it? Peterborough beating them comfortably as well. Was it 16 points they won by? So,
something like that.
But by all accounts, it was a really, really good meeting. Just to sort of pick up on the point, obviously we were talking about how many clubs we've lost. I've just pulled up the league championships from 1990, which was my first season, and in the top league, Reading won it, gone. Wolves were second, possibly going at the end of the season. Bellevue third, Oxford fourth, Bradford fifth, gone. Swindon sixth, gone. Cradley, gone. Coventry, gone. So that's in the top league. That's 4 at the moment, including Wolves, which possibly might go down to 3. And in the National League, you've got Poole, Middlesbrough. Okay, you could argue it's red car now. Ipswich, Glasgow, Hackney, gone. Berwick, still there. Wimbledon, gone. Stoke, gone. Exeter, gone. Peterborough, going at the end of the season by all accounts. Eastbourne, gone. Newcastle, gone. Edinburgh, not sure of their future. Arena Essex, gone. Rye House, gone. Long Eaton, gone. Milton Keynes, gone.
Scary, isn't it? Yeah.
But the product's fine.
Apparently.
Yep. Isn't it a case of everybody knows what's wrong with the product?
Okay, you tell us what's wrong with the product.
Well, what's right with the product?
What's right with the product is 4 riders racing against each other is really exciting.
Yeah.
But there must be something wrong for it not to be successful.
Well, do we really want to go through that? Do we really want to just list what's wrong with the product?
Okay.
We've only got an hour, so.
Okay, you've got. Give me one thing, one answer as to why you think it's wrong. You can only pick one. If you could only pick one.
Okay, if I could only pick one.
Money.
It need money always.
Yeah.
But it needs a sort of what's the word I'm looking for? A CEO, and then it needs a CEO that is in charge of everything, and that says that not only is in charge but probably owns everything.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter. So it doesn't matter whether this promoter doesn't agree with that, and this promoter, and it doesn't matter because they don't make the decisions. That's what it needs.
Yeah.
And that will never happen.
Well, it's sort of happened to a point, obviously, because we've now got Phil Morrison, who's the CEO of the Premiership, although that hasn't been rolled out into the other 2 leagues as of yet. Whether it will be in future,
It should be.
Yep.
Interesting to see Woffington in Team Kevlar's last night. He disappeared. Thank you very much. Does it mean he is staying? Rumour Ellis out, but who joins him has to be one of Pickering, Howarth, Kerr. Tough decisions to be made. 2 riders going to upset. Well, this is what Chris Harris is talking about, isn't it? In his article about riders just being dropped and they don't get paid and they don't get anything, and
Riders just coming into just for the playoffs.
Just for the playoffs, yeah.
I mean, Robert Lambert did it last season with Bellevue. You know, I'll look back on 2016 when Michael had brought Ty Wolfenden in, not just for the playoffs, but for the last 3 or 4 league fixtures. In fairness, and dropped Humnus Kilmacorpy. Although in fairness, they did ensure that Kilmacorpy also got a league championship winners medal as well for his contribution during the season. But it sort of left a bit of a bad taste in the mouth, certainly with the Bellevue fans who didn't like it in 2016, although they didn't seem too disappointed about it when
that's
they
the problem, isn't it? We didn't like it in 19...
Hancock in 2013
yeah,
when he came in for Poole for the playoffs.
Yeah, it didn't. It felt really bad. Chris Simpson playing money as when they came round.
Yes, they didn't like that, did they, Paul?
Well, he got sacked for it, didn't they?
Yeah.
So, what do you think of our guest rider tomorrow, Josh Pickering? Edinburgh level on points with us. We both need the points. Just Josh Pickering has never done anything other than show real commitment when he's been in a Brummie race jacket, so I've got no problem.
Yeah.
You know, I think it's a good... he didn't do as well against Coventry as perhaps we would have expected, but if he's going to have a bad night, that's the one.
The challenge match, yeah.
That's the one to have.
Still can't really work out how Birmingham managed to lose that meeting, to be fair. But,
we'll talk about that. It was disappointing, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Some great racing there.
Yeah,
mainly from Chris Harris, of course.
And a good crowd as well. Coventry obviously brought quite a lot over, but that was always going to be the case. And I think there was I think there were encouraging signs that I think Stuart Dixon and Nigel Tolley will take, but it would have been nice for them to have won the match as well. The
red car result was a good, I know we lost, but lost by 2 points. That's shown a bit of fight.
One extra rider, and that would have been a win, I think. Stefan Nielsen, another bad night for him. Alfie Beltel didn't perform.
I can allow him the odd bad night because he's been his season. He's been the success story, I think, of the with possibly Sam Hagen as well now.
Yeah, I like the look of Sam Hagen. He's sort of stepped into the higher level, hasn't he? And he's certainly he's not really got the big points yet, but he's certainly shown that he's not too far away.
No, absolutely. Anthony Douglas, I think he's saying, how many teams do you think will be in the championship next year? Will there even be a championship? Will there be a premiership? Will there be one big league? I don't know.
It's got to be one big league.
There are problems with doing that.
It might be forced on them if they lose too many more clubs.
They might. I think if they do that, they have to drop using averages.
Yeah.
I think that they have to find another way, and I think possibly they have to find another way anyway, because this averages business is something that's too easily to be manipulated.
Yeah.
It sort of speaks to what Chris Harris is talking about. If you're we could probably get a really good number one rider because the rest of our riders' averages have dropped down, and all of a sudden we could get Greg Hancock. We couldn't, obviously, but so that sort of manipulation because of the numbers. Then perhaps there needs to be another way of doing it. What do you think?
Well, of course, years ago it was rider control, wasn't it? Which again, that was sort of dominated by self-interest, wasn't it? But
well, that's the problem. Rider control can't work while British Speedway works the way that it does. It can possibly work if you have a Supremo.
Yeah,
possibly.
Who's not affiliated with any club?
Well, that's not. Exactly.
Yeah. Rider control obviously was not rider control. Rider grading was tried back in 2004. Which I thought was a decent way where they basically graded riders, but it only lasted a year. One club complained.
How do you grade a rider?
I think they graded it based on the previous season's average.
Oh, right, okay.
So you can have so many Grade 1 riders, so many Grade 2, or a pick of whichever.
They got. I think apparently one club didn't like it, so they got rid of it the following year, which is classic British Speedway, isn't it? If someone doesn't like it, so we'll just get rid of it. So. Yeah,
they don't give things a chance to. When you try something new, there will always be problems, so you have to work through the problems. Okay. That's exactly what I was looking for. Midler has just stated on live podcast that Poole will not be moving up next year. Means nothing if there's nothing to move up to.
No, that's it.
To be honest, We're talking about the rider control, Barry Young, until Ollie didn't want to go.
Yeah, that was the Hull, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm. He wanted to stop at Coventry, and he did.
And Brian Buck reckons there will not be one big league unless the current Premiership clubs are willing to drop down.
Well, they might not have any choice, of course, and that's if you've got, I mean, you could have as little as 4 teams in the Premiership.
Yeah,
that's not, you can't do that.
No.
So at that point, something has to happen.
That's one of the problems, really, isn't it? The fact that, I mean, years ago when I started watching Speedway, and probably even going back to probably even more so when you were first watching Speedway back in the early 70s. You'd have a big league where you had one chance really to see riders.
Absolutely,
at your track,
we had leagues 30 strong.
Yeah.
I mean,
whereas nowadays, of course, if Wolves could be racing against
and got the fixtures in.
Yeah.
By the way,
I know. Yeah. Well, whereas now, of course, you could have a situation where Wolves are racing Ipswich, and you might possibly have something else that you could do on the same night, and you look at the fixtures and think, well, Ipswich are there again in a couple of weeks, so I'll dismiss that one.
Yeah. There was a comment.
Okay. Yes. Why does BBC show football and other sports before Speedway?
Money.
Because people watch them.
Yep.
I think it's as simple as that, isn't it?
Yeah.
Also, why don't they hold championship main events on Premiership tracks? Answers on a postcard.
Why don't they?
Well, I suppose one reason is money, because the championship team that runs it will be getting a revenue for I think they share it 50-50, don't they, with the BSPA for that sort of thing. There's got to be enough incentive to clubs to move up unless there's a pot of gold in the top league to dish out. Pool won't step up. The team they build would be similar, if not the same, in the Premiership. The difference is the same rider earns a higher points per meeting in the Premiership than Championship. Why should Paul pay more for the same rider? From a business sense, they're successful doing what they're doing now, so why change it? I think I see the sense of what he's saying. There should be a pot of, there should be it should be relegation, and it just should be. Yeah. And you've got to do it for more than one season, because once you do it for 2, 3, 4, 5 seasons, the whole thing evens itself out. Yeah. Everybody reaches the level that they can compete at, and then they've got a target, or they've got a stick to keep away from. And
yeah, that's right. So
it makes it. If you're towards the bottom of the league and you've got nothing to race for, you have got something to race for. If you might be going to relegation playoffs or
that's
something.
one of the problems with having one big league. If you get to the end of the season and you've got a team racing between you've got a team who's 9th racing against a team who's 10th, and neither of them can move up the table, it's a bit of a meaningless match, isn't it, really? So that's another issue.
National League needs to go back to 13 heats and have second halves again, where new lads had opportunities to learn and gain experience without pressure of competitive league matches. Not sure I agree with that.
Did you ever watch this? Did you watch many second halves?
I always used to watch them. Yeah, I mean, the big thing was you get like that's where we first saw Andy Graham. Yeah, with the L plate on his back. Yeah. So you did see riders come up, but not many. Mm-hmm. Not many. I mean, you look at Birmingham. We do the second half, really, in essence. Okay, it's in the guise of a match, national development league match thing, but it's. I don't think there's particularly pressure on them. Right.
I suppose the other thing as well is planning regulations sort of might limit you in being able to what you can run. So.
Can somebody translate that for me by Adrian Snowden? I'm not quite sure what he's trying to say
regarding BBC coverage, which you were talking about earlier, were the equality in an equality-based world.
Anybody that thinks this is an equality-based world, and anybody that thinks the BBC, equal. No,
Yeah.
it's just not.
I think whether you like it or not, I mean, football is it is the national sport, isn't it?
Oh yeah, without doubt.
And that's what they're going to.
And I don't like it.
No, I know, but that's what they're going to. That's
Yeah.
exactly what they're going to play.
So, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, thank you. Nicky Kofi. We should give this a plug, actually. Birmingham
Got the wrong
Speedway
teeth
Supporters
into
Club,
it, right?
absolutely. There's a summer fete at the tennis courts, pub, Walsall Road, Perry Bar, on Saturday the 26th of August. Lots of stalls, tombola, craft, kids' games, cakes. Plus, see if you're quicker than a Speedway rider to drop the clutch. Win a cash prize, all welcome. I mean, and again, something that the Birmingham Speedway Supporters Club is putting on, and trying.
That's a good thing to do. See if you can drop the clutch quicker than a Speedway rider. So.
I'll go in for that if the Speedway rider's Chris Harris. So, Anthony Douglas. The problem with Speedway in this country is we haven't got TV deals like Poland. But the reason we haven't got TV deals like Poland, I really do need to sort my teeth out, is because the crowds in Poland are so big. If the crowds, I mean, that actually is the bottom deal. That the total answer is more people, more exposure.
Aren't Polish clubs owned by local?
Cancels,
Yeah,
essentially.
that's
yeah.
the difference, isn't it?
Yeah.
'Cause they can put money in, and you look at some of the Polish stadiums as well. Some of these are rivaling football stadiums, aren't they? All seaters, and whereas in this country, unfortunately, a lot of these clubs have got rickety old terraces that were sort of out of date in the 70s. But
The Premiership needs at least 6 clubs, and the Championship needs to be bringing on the National League riders. Yes, they do. It doesn't solve any problems, though.
no.
We do need to be bringing riders on, but the easier way of doing that is having more clubs.
That's the difficult bit, isn't it? So, unfortunately.
Promoters should do their jobs and promote the sport. With what? You're pissing against the wind,
Unfortunately,
essentially. I hate saying these things and being so negative. I'm not generally a negative person, but they've got to sort the product out. And they've got to sort out the stadiums, and it's what I've been banging on about all this season. Tracks in fields.
Yep.
Start from basics again. It's what probably Wolves are probably going to be having to do.
Yep, at some point. So.
And I think they'll be better for it. We've just lost Chris. I think he's going to get our guest.
Has he been for a job interview, by the way? He's looking very dapper over there. So.
I've had a wash. Give us 2 seconds. And the guys, when he gets connected.
Ben Clifton.
No. It's going to be. Doesn't want to connect for some reason. Okay. Talk amongst yourselves.
Okay, the number of heats in a meeting is irrelevant, but all clubs should have their own junior riders competing in a second half. Not all clubs sharing the same few riders as they currently do. I mean, that's a fair point. Reserves and second halvers, and it's disappeared. But okay. Reserves and second halvers need to be interchangeable
Right.
at the team manager's discretion, so that juniors have a chance to get a team place, and reserves losing their place should have a genuine chance to win it back.
Okay, so online we do have Charlie. You there, Charlie?
Hello, mate. Yeah, I'm here.
Good stuff.
Good.
stuff.
Okay, you're very, very quiet in my
I'll tell you
in
what
my
to do.
ear there.
There we go. Try that now.
Sorry.
That's better.
It's not your fault, Charlie.
It's me. I'm an idiot.
You can tell I'm a media star. No idea. No, that's good.
So, Charlie, tell us why you're on the show tonight, mate.
Because we thought we'd go for a little walk at the weekend. So we're leaving Ashford United, as you can hear in the background. We're leaving Ashford United football ground at 6 p.m. on Saturday. And we're walking 207 miles to the Principality for the Grand Prix.
Okay.
Crikey.
You did say 207 miles there, did you?
Sadly, yes.
Yes.
You are out of your mind.
Although Ben is up for any shortcuts.
Yeah. And a pub along the way.
No thumbing lifts on the way.
So I guess my first question is for people that want to contribute and whatever. Do you have a website or anything, and particularly showing where you're going and everything?
So we have a Just Giving page. And if people go on the Facebook page, which is Ben and Charlie's Responsible to Wales, there's a QR code, there's a Just Giving page, and everything you want on there. The one thing we're keen on with this is that we know we're asking for a lot of money, and every penny will help us, which is why I'm here tonight rattling buckets in front of these people. So we wanted to give something back. So we're going to have a few giggles on the way. We want people to join in. We've been challenged today by a friend of mine who has cancer, which is my reason for walking. And she's challenged me and Ben on Saturday to walk the first mile in our boxes. So if ever you wanted to go shopping in Ashford, Saturday is a good day because we'll probably clear the place, I would have thought.
I don't want to see any pictures, thank you.
No, we are trying to edit it.
So whose idea was all this?
So with me, I travel around all over the country at different facts, and quite often Ben will come with me as Kent are involved normally. And he came up with this crazy idea when we were driving. It sort of went like this: do you fancy doing something stupid for charity? Right. And I said, yeah, go on, what are you thinking? And he said, how about we walk to Wales? And if you could see Ben's face when I said to him, I've done that before. And he went, what? And I said, I did it before about 10 years ago. I don't mind doing it, but can we walk the other way this time? And he said, you're serious, aren't you? And I said, yeah, I don't mind doing it, but can we go towards Wales? Because last time I walked back to Kent. So that was how it came about. It's one of them, I think, you guys will understand when we go in the Speedway and we're driving, there's all sorts of crazy complications come up, and it was just one of them that suddenly got to very seriously and developed into what we're doing now.
Well, good on you. So tell everybody exactly what charities you're raising money for.
So we have three charities. First one is Macmillan. The reason for Macmillan is my friend Di has cancer. And it isn't until I talked to her that I realised how much help she gets and the things people don't realise. We see a lot of change in people with cancer, obviously. But you don't realise that when they lose weight, all their clothes don't fit, and Macmillan step in and give them vouchers to help them, obviously, look a bit tidy, so to speak, rather than looking like Coco the Clown with a big baggy clothes. So Macmillan support is the first one. The second one is mine, South East. Predominantly, Ben works in the NHS and I work at Kenwood Trust, which is a rehab for drug and alcohol abuse. So we both see a lot of people with mental health issues, and it just seemed right. And Speedway Riders Benevolence Fund, really that one and mine goes together because we used to love watching Danny Ayres, you know his story like we all do.
Yeah.
It's been just right after all these years of taking out the sport to put a little bit back. And this gives us an opportunity to do that. So that's where the three charities come from.
Excellent. Do we have any riders supporting your efforts at the moment?
Yeah, so on Saturday at Ashford Football Club, Paul Hurry, who's been every bit of a gentleman as I've always known him, despite the wind-ups, he's coming down to Ashford. He's been very helpful, pushing it about and getting people involved. And he's bringing Scotty Nichols with him as well. Ben's as about as excited as a child on Christmas morning that Scott Nichols is coming down. And Paul's been a favourite of mine for a long time, and a nice guy as well. So we're both coming down, getting involved. We're hoping Scott and start us off. And we're hoping when we get hit, when we get to Wales, they'll be seeing us in. But we don't know that yet.
Yeah.
But they're the guys that have been getting involved. We have a share from Ty Wussenden on Twitter, which I'm not really sure how that works, but I was very pleased to get it.
Of course.
Yeah.
It seems to us, Speedway family, as we all like to call it, is very, very helpful and very involved helping us. And outside that, we struggled a little bit until the last couple of weeks. And our local TV are getting involved. Sheffield Radio are doing a 6-hour show on Sunday with us, which is extremely grateful.
Well, we will share your Facebook page. I'm sure Chris is working on that now. He's doing something anyway.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, we will we'll share that. And,
Carry on.
yeah, and all.
Why is he hanging about? He's
Yeah, I mean, you can't get the stuff, to be honest. Would I also like to ask you a favour, actually. Would you mind coming on the show after the event and let us all know how you got on?
We would happily come on after, in the middle of, whenever you need.
Fantastic.
What we are doing, if you're interested in, is if your guys want to come up for a challenge and you want to get it to us by Run the Walk, we'll have a go at it. All we're asking you is keep it legalish. Please don't ask us to bungee off the false bridge, because Ben doesn't do fights. But other than that, yeah, if you wanted to come up with a challenge, we're by all means have a go at it.
Fabulous.
Okay, well, thank you for that, and I'm sure all 3 or 4 of our listeners, however many we have tonight,
If they could all get together and come up with one, that would be
yeah. Well, whatever they put out there, we'll send to you.
Yeah, so if they want to go on the Facebook page, they can leave messages on
fantastic,
there. We'll have a go.
Brilliant. So you've heard that. Get on the Facebook page, give them all the challenges about bungee jumping, and we'll see the result.
Fantastic.
Thank you so much for coming on, Charlie.
Cheers, darling.
Good luck, Charlie.
Good luck. Good luck.
Cheers,
Cheers, buddy.
Thanks for your help.
No problem. You take care.
Thank you.
Take
Cheers,
care.
Dave.
Bye.
Thank you.
And then
Charlie.
and then there's the things that are right with Speedway.
Which things like that. Absolutely, yeah.
Oh, definitely.
So yeah, I mean, we've got stuff to catch up on.
I don't
It
know
was
where
quite-
you got to. So did you get before that? Or
No, before that.
before that, right?
Okay, yeah. There's quite a lot of stuff come up. Okay, so the number of we've written that we didn't write it honestly.
No.
All footballers cheat to win at all costs, so why would anyone want to pay to watch a cheating sports person rather than a hard non-cheating sport like Speedway? Non-cheating? Boring holes in silencers, putting sugar in...
Well, I think the one thing that is in there as well was the race fixing scandal of the 80s, wasn't it? I think that did a lot of damage to Speedway back then, which never really... And there's always been that perception, I think, with Speedway about riders sort of shutting off to let their mates through and things like that. And allegations made against riders for doing that, and it's also left a bit of a nasty taste in the mouth, doesn't it? So I should say, by the way, we do have a meeting going on tonight down at Plymouth. It's Plymouth against Glasgow, and it is currently Plymouth 24, Glasgow 36.
Well, it was only ever one winner there, I think.
Yeah, that's up to 8:10. So
Craig Smees made some interesting points. Get TV adverts on local radio stations, electronic billboard advertisement going to local schools or businesses promoting the sport. Post flyers in the local area. I don't think these are expensive solutions. I think TV adverts is expensive. I don't know.
Yeah, well, the one thing that's always amazed me whenever I've been up to Bellevue is that there's no billboards for Bellevue Speedway at all. In fact, from what I'm told, there's a lot of people who live in Manchester who think that Bellevue have gone, don't run anymore.
Same in Birmingham, isn't it?
Yeah.
But Birmingham have done. I mean, you can't go down the road without seeing a buzz.
Yeah,
with Birmingham Speedway on the back of it. Has it made any difference? I'm not sure that advertising has the same power that it used to have.
No.
Can you go back to the advertising one? Because And I'm talking about Birmingham Speedway. They do go into schools and businesses to promote the sport. That you heard about what they do in the local, doing a fete at the pub close by. So they are doing and things that are you can say innovative and different. They do post flyers in the local area. I'm just not sure any of it makes a difference these days. Do you look at any flyers that come through your door? Seriously?
Not really.
I don't think nobody
Seriously?
I don't think anybody does, do they?
No, I don't think anybody does.
You know, it's like when you're going out shopping and you see someone standing there with a clipboard. Most people deviate, don't they? Because they don't want to get hassled. So.
Do younger people listen to radio stations anymore?
I don't think they do.
Particularly? Not.
It's Spotify now, isn't it? And
Yeah. It's on demand, isn't it? Basically,
yeah.
Everything's on demand.
Yeah.
The place that you can get people is through
Social media.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
My mind's not working
I know
tonight.
it isn't.
Social media is the place,
Yeah.
and that's where we as supporters play a major role. And we've got to stop griping as well. By the way, got to stop griping. It says we've been griping all night. I understand this,
We've
but
been grinding for 13 years.
yeah. So I just don't think that those solutions are solutions that particularly work anymore.
I think that's one there from Anthony Douglas. Cost is the other issue for supporters. £22 to go to Kings Lynn to watch them lose every week. People end up staying away. Back in '97 at Kings Lynn in the Elite League, it was £9, a big difference.
Yeah, but prices are always going to go up.
Yeah.
Prices have gone up everywhere.
They're not gonna-
I just
they're
had to
not
have
gonna
my tyre puncture repaired last year. It would have cost me £10. This year it's cost me £50.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. Glasgow are trying to sign to replace Marcin Novak, and I hear there are teams trying to block this.
No, I
Is
hadn't
this
heard
true?
that. I hadn't
I love the confidence that people have in us that we actually
No.
know what we're talking about and know anything. I do know I do know something about that, but I can't tell you.
Oh, I can assure
But
you.
I do
he
know,
knows
but I
nothing.
actually do know something
No,
about
he knows
that.
nothing.
Simon Corbett, the product isn't worth the money apparently. Only 7,500 tickets sold for Cardiff, top tier being completely closed.
Crikey.
How much is that is down to the farce of last year?
Well, I
and the
think
track?
that's going to. I think what a lot of people are going to do is they're probably going to watch it on TV this year and see how it goes. I think if there's a market improvement,
Has to be.
then it certainly can't deteriorate. It can't be any worse than it was last year. Last year's was. I mean, I'm a big advocate of Cardiff, but I couldn't defend it last year. It was a shambles. But they were obviously. I think they may.
Are you going this year?
Well, I am planning to go. I haven't got my tickets yet. In fairness, I think that's. Do you know what? I do think a lot of people will probably just wait to the last couple of days and then buy the tickets because, of course, you don't. It's not paper tickets anymore. It's all online.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
As
Well,
I-
I suppose that's a benefit, isn't it?
Yeah.
In a way, isn't it,
from
really?
from last year, I don't know what the ticket prices are this year. It doesn't seem that overpriced to me. You can get some fairly decent priced. I mean, if you want right at the front, I'm guessing you're paying.
Yeah, if you're paying top value for really like first bend tickets and things like that. I do,
But you can go and watch it for a reasonable price.
Yeah, it's certainly reasonable. But as I say, the big issue is going to be what the track's going to be like. I know that they have been talking this up about about making sure that the track is better, and that's got to be the absolute priority because not just last year, the previous 2 or 3 Cardiff Grand Prix, the quality of from what I gather, it's still the same shale that they used when they first staged it there in 2001. So. And that's
Possibly need to buy some new shale.
well, that's potentially another issue for the future, isn't it? Because I mean, how much more shale is there available to get on these tracks?
Yeah.
So
More dilemma for Sheffield. Jilk suffered a broken wrist last night. New rising star required.
Sheffield are going to be.
They looked so
market
good at
again.
the beginning of the season, didn't they?
Yeah, I still think they'll be in the top 4, but
Sheffield will be without Mujlak again Saturday at Leicester due to Polish playoffs in a must-win for both teams. Talking about must-win for teams, Wolverhampton are close.
yeah,
They're very close now.
they got the bonus point last night. That would have got us in, but not to be.
Yeah, so you basically need one more point, don't you?
Yeah.
You've got a few matches to earn that.
Yep.
Birmingham, we have. We didn't talk about the Coventry meeting, and we really should have done it.
We've still got to do our predictions as well, haven't we? So we've only got 15 minutes.
It was a good meeting. How Birmingham contrived to lose it is beyond me, but Chris Harris had a lot to do with it, I think. But a must win for us tomorrow against Scunthorpe.
I think it is, yeah. I think if Birmingham is serious about forcing their way into the top 6.
If we do win it, we're really putting the pressure on Edinburgh.
Yeah, I think so. It is effectively. I think it's effectively now a two-way shootout, isn't it? Because the top 5 are gone, and I don't see anybody outside of Birmingham or Edinburgh muscling their way in. So,
and I think it's going to be a hell of a match tomorrow. All the matches previously against Scunthorpe have been fairly tight.
Yeah, it was a good match. Was it the cup match? Might have been.
Yeah, it was the cup match. Yeah,
it was a really good meeting, which Birmingham, for much of that meeting, looked like they were going to win, and of course Scunthorpe obviously came on strong towards the end. But I think with Birmingham, the big difference really between now and before the changes was that now they're still losing more matches than they're winning, but they are competitive in all the matches.
Yeah, exactly.
Whereas they were at the start of the season, they were losing matches and they weren't even being competitive.
Yeah, I think it makes a difference having a number one.
Yep.
Different one each time, but it's so Adam Ellis has just posted on Facebook, bad night at Peterborough, a week off now, move on, but Sheffield are rising Thursday and Saturday.
Yeah,
make of that of what you will. Brian Buck says Cardiff prices seem quite reasonable to me, but I appreciate that the shambolic events of last season may have disillusioned many fans. Things will have to be much improved this time around, otherwise crowd levels will not recover. And this is Speedway doing what it does all the time, shooting itself in the foot.
This is probably the most important Cardiff Grand Prix since it first moved.
Got to get it right.
They've got to get it right this year. They can't afford another.
Hope the weather play. Well, it doesn't matter so much at Cardiff anyway.
Well, it did last year because it was in the middle of that heat wave. It was horrendous in there, and of course, I came away from Cardiff with COVID, so that was my memory of the weekend. So
lovely.
We've got 10 minutes, by the way, so we should really
get a move on, please.
Yep.
And,
okay.
And then we can come back to these. People
We've got our producer in the having a go at us.
Yes.
He's a producer. Okay.
Oh, yes.
Is he?
That's what you just called him. It was producer, wasn't it, that you called him? Okay, I believe...
Producer of what we don't know, but...
I think you went last time first,
I make you pair
so
look absolutely incredible.
This is true.
Yep.
So it's up to me first.
Look who's on top. Simon Corbett's on top.
Back on top again.
Rich Thomas,
Just
Andrew Garner,
40, 41 and 42. The top three.
By the way, if you are listening, John, I do know we've got one of your scores wrong, so I will correct that.
Oh, he gets one job a week. One job. I know
it's been a busy
4
week.
hours, but
it's been a busy week, so
I'm still way ahead of Mike, so that's all that matters.
Right.
Right, so the first one is tomorrow's meeting at Perry Bar, Birmingham against Scunthorpe.
And I would get that one.
Yep.
Oh, I think Birmingham's going to win, and I'm going to say 6-point win for Birmingham.
I'll go a 2-point win for Birmingham.
Okay, at least it's a win. We'll take it.
I'll go Scunthorpe by 6.
Wow.
There's the Brummie.
Yeah. Calls himself a Birmingham City
be
supporter.
Realistic.
Okay, Poole v Glasgow is next.
That's up to you, Matt.
Poole by 4.
Poole by 6.
Poole by 4.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Yep. Next up in the NDL is Oxford against Berwick.
And that's up to me.
It is.
Oxford by 4.
Oxford by 16.
Oxford by 20.
Crikey. I've got that one wrong there.
Okay, next up we move on to Thursday. Then we've got quite a few matches because, of course, it is a bank holiday weekend. So Sheffield against Wolves is next.
That's up to Mike.
Do you know what? I'm going to give the Wolves a 2-point win.
I'll take that.
I bet you would.
I certainly would.
There's your playoffs.
Yep. I'll go for Sheffield by 6.
I'll go for Sheffield by 12.
Okay. What a match this one's going to be. Ipswich against Leicester. Leicester really feeling the pressure at the moment.
You're up to you.
Ipswich by 10.
I'll go Ipswich by 14.
Ipswich by 10.
Okay, next up, Kings Lynn against Bellevue.
That's up to me, isn't it? Bellevue by 6.
Bellevue by 12.
That was my go, but not to
Tough.
worry. Yeah.
Tough.
Bellevue by 10. You're okay.
Okay. Edinburgh against Poole is next.
Is that mine?
That's me, yeah. Poole by 12.
Poole by 14.
Poole by 10.
Okay, next up in the NDL, Bellevue against Workington.
Up to Matt.
Up to Matt, yep.
Bellevue by 20.
I'll go Bellevue by 16.
Bellevue by 18.
Okay.
Just to be different.
Yep. Oxford against Plymouth is next on Friday in the Championship.
That's up to me.
Mm-hmm.
Oxford by 10.
Oxford by 18.
Oxford by 24.
There's a times table in there somewhere.
Okay, Scunthorpe against Glasgow is next.
That's Mike.
Ooh. Glasgow by 4.
Scunthorpe by 4.
I'll go Glasgow by 2.
I was tempted to go a draw.
Okay, next one, this is going to be a crunch one. Edinburgh against Birmingham.
Wow.
Up to Matt.
It's up to you, Matt.
Draw.
I'd take it.
Yep.
I'd take it.
Edinburgh by. Is it Edinburgh?
Yeah,
Yeah, I'll go Edinburgh by 4.
I would probably take that as well. But I'm going to say a draw.
Craig Smear's gone Birmingham by 2, so there you go.
Okay. Hopefully we won't be the only Birmingham team winning at Edinburgh this week. So. Next up is Workington against Bellevue in the NDL.
That's up to
You.
me, yeah. Buckington by 4.
Bellevue by 4.
Hey, will you just stop? You just
You're
have
just,
what me
not,
to
you're just
do.
not quick enough. You're not quick enough.
No, he's very slow, he's like.
Since I now know you're going to go Bellevue by 4, I'm going to say no, I'm not, because every time I say a draw, I get a nasty red dash. I'm going to say Workington by 2, just to make it interesting. Go on.
Okay. Well, it's a Premiership meeting, so on a protected night. So of course we've got a Premiership meeting on Saturday. It is Leicester against Sheffield.
I've had all the difficult ones to start with this week. Yeah, but Sheffield by 6. Not meant Leicester by 6 is what I meant to say. I do beg your pardon.
Mm-hmm.
Matt?
Leicester by 4.
I'll go Leicester by 8.
Okay.
Okay, that will be swiftly followed by the NDL match between Leicester and Oxford.
That's up to Matt.
Leicester by 4.
Leicester by 8.
Leicester by 10. That's literally what I was going to say. So
Okay. We haven't even discussed the Championship League Riders Championship, have we?
No.
On Redcar, that's on Sunday. But next up is Monday. Busy schedule again for a bank holiday. Bellevue against Leicester.
That's up to me. Leicester by 6.
Bellevue by 10.
Oh, I was going to say Bellevue by 10 as well. Okay, also on Monday, the second leg of the semi-final of the Knockout Cup, Peterborough against Ipswich.
Up to me. Ipswich by 10.
Ipswich by 4.
Ipswich by 8.
Okay, next up is the return to Monmouth Green of Ty Woofington, Wolves against Sheffield.
That's up to me, isn't it?
Yep.
I'll go Wolves by
No, it's not. It's up to Matt. It's Matt's go.
Wolves by 4.
Oh, I was going to say that. I'll go Wolves by 6.
Shit. No. Wolves by 4.
You say a draw then, so.
No. Well, there's a possibility. Wolves have been showing a bit of weakness around their place recently.
A little bit, yeah. Leicester against Kings Lynn is the next one. That's a must-win for Leicester, that is.
And it's up to you, Chris.
Sorry, what was it?
Leicester versus Kings Lynn.
I'll go Leicester by 6.
Leicester by 12.
Leicester by 10. Okay, and the last one is Plymouth against Edinburgh on Tuesday.
Wow. You see, that is a massive. That's a massive for Edinburgh and for Birmingham.
Yeah.
That is a massive meeting. That is. I can only see Edinburgh winning it. I'll say Edinburgh by 4. It's up to you, Matt.
Edinburgh by 10.
Edinburgh by 12.
And that's
it. That's
it.
one, yeah.
Oh,
Right.
right. Okay.
It's now 38-28 in favour of Glasgow at Plymouth at the moment after heat number 11.
Okay, so we've got 4 minutes left. If you want to, I don't know if you want to run through a couple of these. Do you want me to do it, Julian?
Yeah, let's go to where we left off and we'll get through what we can. Julie Parker says Cardiff have stopped me going by closing the bottom tier. 6 months now I have been disabled suddenly and without the bottom being open, have no chance. Tried finding out but can't get hold of no one. 8 years we have gone now. Got to stop. My 1 day out a year. Very sad for me and a lot of other people.
Disappointing, that is.
That is disappointing and they need to do better. And
Anthony Douglas. Be interesting to know how much it involves, how much it costs to get into Polish top flight fixtures in English pounds and pence.
I bet it's not that expensive.
I would imagine that's probably one thing that will bolster the Cardiff gate is, of course, the number of Poles that will come over, because generally the Poles don't come to watch the Speedway; they come to see their riders win, and there's
I mean, I
it's
think
quite likely. I think
if Bartek Schmarzlik wins it and it's right, he could even win it.
he could secure the world championship there.
Yeah.
That night. So
Lots of shale at Swindon, Wolves and Peterborough, says Rich Thomas.
yeah.
Dark. We can't properly compare Polish admission prices with those in the UK, wages in Poland being substantially lower than in Britain.
But the Polish mentality is totally different to the UK mentality. I mean, you see a lot of Polish fans in Cardiff in the weekend that we're on the Saturday that we're there. A lot of them wear their country colours. A lot of them wear their club colours. But you never see Lejno and Roslav fans mixing or anything like that.
Right.
They keep separately
Yeah,
apart.
like a
It's not-
football crowd. isn't
Yeah,
it?
it is like a
I've
football
seen it
crowd.
on,
Yeah,
on YouTube. Yeah,
you don't want them together because you'll get it'll probably go off. So
Yeah, they don't like each other basically.
no, there's a very intense rivalry between a lot of the. I think the big one is Gorzov and Zelina Gora, because I think Greg Hancock just said it was like Walls and Crowd but with more people. so
Like a Celtic Rangers match with bikes.
£10 average extra liga, says Jeff Daniels, who has a Polish fan at the NSS. So,
Yeah, I mean £10 doesn't sound a fat lot, but I bet it's
yeah.
it's a lot.
Well, that's
more
the thing,
out
isn't it? A lot of,
how much does it
we
cost to get into Wolves at the moment?
21.
How much does it cost to get into Birmingham? I don't know because I never
It's about
been.
the same, isn't it? It might be a couple of pounds, might be a couple less.
there. Really, £21.
Yeah.
Crikey, that's a lot.
It's a lot of money, but
That's
you want it to get lower, you need more people.
Yeah.
It's the problem, isn't it? It's
You can get
one of
to
the problems.
You can get to most championship grounds for that.
Yeah. Well, people talk about a lot of Polish. There's a lot of Poles living in the UK now, but do you ever see them at Speedway? You don't.
No. I think Speedway in Poland tends to be in one part of it's sort of annexed in one part of the country, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay.
And like I say, they generally only go and watch their teams. They don't go and watch Speedway as such. So.
I mean, a little true story is the nursery where I work at. We have I've got to be careful what I'll share and what I don't. We have a young child that has Polish heritage and speaks Polish and doesn't speak much English. And I just said to this child the other day the words Bartek Schmarzlik, and he looked at me and went. He put his hand up in the air and first smile I've had out of him. So there you go. Okie dokie. Yes. Have we got time to talk? We haven't got time to talk about. There's a championship meeting on Sunday. The final thing.
Championship riders
Thank
final.
you. There you go. And I will go and get some new teeth now. Thank you, everybody, for joining. Keep the faith. Get down to see your Speedway team. And if you're a Birmingham fan, get yourself down to Birmingham tomorrow. Must-win match. Adios.
Good night.
Good night.